Hello students, today in the Living World Part 2, we are going to talk about the taxonomic hierarchy, nomenclature, concept of species, tools for study of taxonomy. Now first let us move on to taxonomic hierarchy. In biological classification, the taxonomical hierarchy includes 7 major categories, namely kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus and species, and other intermediate categories such as subkingdom, grade, division, subdivision, subphylum, superclass, subclass, superorder, suborder, superfamily, subfamily and subspecies. Now let us talk about the species. Species is the basic unit of classification in the taxonomic hierarchical system. It's a group of animals having similar morphological features or traits and is reproductively isolated to produce fertile offspring. There are some exceptional animals which can produce sterile offspring because of the mating with closely related species. Here you can see in these images the crosses between a male horse and a female donkey results in a sterile hinny. The crosses between a male donkey and a female horse results in mule, which is sterile. The crosses between a male lion and a female tiger results in liger. The male tiger and the female lion cross produces tigon, which is sterile. Now genus. It's a group of closely related species which have evolved from a common ancestor. In some genus, there is only one species, which is called a monotypic genus. Example, red panda, whose image is given on the right side. That is the only species in the genus Ailurus fulgens. If there are more than one species in the genus, it is known as polytypic genus. For example, cats come under the genus Felis, which has a number of closely related species. Felis domestica, otherwise called domestic cat. Felis margarita, otherwise called jungle cat. Felis silvestris, otherwise called wild cat. Family. It's a taxonomic category which includes a group of related genera. The family Felidae includes the genus Felis cats and the genus Panthera, Panthera leo, the lion, Panthera tigris, the tiger, Panthera pardus, the leopard. Order. This category includes an assemblage of one or more related families which show few common features. One or more similar families are grouped together to form an order. For example, family Canidae, Mustelidae and Felidae are placed in the order Carnivora. Here you can see the order Carnivora, the family Felidae, which has the genus Panthera, the species Panthera pardus, the leopard. The family Mustelidae, which has the genus Texidae, which includes the Texidae taxus, which is an American badger. The Lutra, which includes the species Lutra lutra, the European otter. The family Canidae includes the genus Canis, Canis latrans, the coyote, Canis lupus, the grey wolf. Class. This category includes one or more related orders with some common characters. For example, order Primata, comprising the monkeys, apes and man, is placed in the class Mammalia along with the order Carnivora, which includes dogs and cats. You can see here the classification of primates, Stepserhini or prosimians, which includes the lemurs, the lorises, the taurusers. On the right side you can see Haplorhini or anthropoids, which includes platyrrhines, the New World monkeys, catarrhines, which includes the Old World monkeys, the apes and the humans. Phylum. The phylum of classes with similar distinctive characteristics constitute a phylum. The classes Pisces, Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves and Mammalia constitute the next higher category, phylum Chordata. These classes share common features like the presence of a notochord, flexible rod-like structure, a dorsal tubular nerve cord or the tube of nerves, the pharyngeal gill slits for respiration and feeding, and post-anal tail reabsorbed in some species, hence included in the phylum Chordata. Here you can see the classification of phylum Chordata, which includes the subphylum Urochordata, the tunicates, whose image is given below on the left side. Phylum Chordata, it has subphylum Cephalochordata, which includes the Amphioxus, whose image is given in the center. the subphylum Vertebrata, which includes the section Agnatha and the class Cyclostomata, the section Gnathostomata, which has superclass Pisces. Pisces are of two types classes. Class Chondrichthyes, which are cartilaginous fishes, or class Osteichthyes, which are bony fishes. And the superclass Tetrapoda. Tetrapoda includes amphibia, reptilia, aves and mammalia. You can see in the image below on the right side. Kingdom. All living animals belonging to various phyla are included in the kingdom Animalia, and it is the topmost of the taxonomic hierarchy. Here you can see the kingdoms are classified into animals, plants, fungi, bacteria and protists. You can see the broad classification of kingdom Animalia, where according to the level of organization, on the left side the cellular level, example Porifera. Tissue level, we have the coelom is absent between the epidermis and the gastrodermis, and the body is radial, example Coelenterata. Body is bilateral, Platyhelminthes. And the tissue level of organization includes the pseudocoelom, which is present in Nematoda, and the true coelom is present, where the mesodermal cells are formed from the single cell during the growth of embryo. It includes Annelida, Arthropoda and Mollusca. On the right side you can see the endoderm gives rise to the coelom. Here you have the notochord is absent, example Echinodermata. On the right side you can see the notochord is present, which includes the chordata. Here you can see the systematic classification of a human being. Kingdom Animalia. Animals are multicellular eukaryotic organisms. Phylum Chordata. Animals with a notochord or vertebral column or the backbone. Class Mammalia. Body covered with hair or fur and mammary glands are present. Order Primata. Mammals with forward-looking eyes and grasping fingers. Family Hominidae. Primates with relatively flat faces and binocular vision. Genus Homo. Hominids with large brain and upright posture. Species Sapiens means bipedal and higher intelligence. Recently discovered species in South India. Scientists have discovered a new and unusual species of frog in the Western Ghats in India in August 2017. The frog, whose image is given below on the right side, is shiny purple skin, a light blue ring around its eyes and a pointy pig nose. It is named as Bhupati's purple frog, Nasigabatrachus bhupati, to honor Dr. Subramaniam Bhupati, whose image is given on the right side above. He is an herpetologist who lost his life in the Western Ghats in 2014. In July 2017, a 9-year-old boy, Ishan Abraham Pichamuthu, whose image is given on the right side with the jellyfish. He discovered a new freshwater species of jellyfish in the Kodaikanal Lake in Tamil Nadu. A newly discovered Himalayan forest thrush bird was named after the birdman of India, ornithologist Dr. Salim Ali, whose image is given below on the left side. The name of the bird is Zoothera Salim Ali. The image is given in the center. A fruit bat is also named after him, Latident Salim Ali. The images of the fruit bat is given below on the right side. Now let us move on to the nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature, trinomial nomenclature and tautonymy. What is Giza, Inimine, Emberi, Manna, Doanna, Umano? In all probability, these words must be new to you, but they all mean human in different foreign languages. There are plenty more than 6,000 languages in the world, and an animal can be named in more than 6,000 ways. Unfortunately, it is impossible for anyone to have a good functioning knowledge of most languages, and hence there arises a need for a universally accepted scientific naming system for all organisms. The process of assigning scientific names to animals or taxonomic group is called nomenclature. For example, worldwide, the scientific name Homo sapiens denotes humans. Classification and grouping were done to facilitate a deeper understanding of the unique characteristics of each organism and its interrelationship among closely related species. It plays a vital role in the arrangement of known species based on the similarities and dissimilarities. Numerous characters such as morphology, genetic information, habitat, feeding pattern, adaptations, evolution, etc., are examined before an organism is named. One of the primary responsibilities of systemic biology is the development of biological nomenclature and classification. Nomenclature is not an end to systematics and taxonomy, but is necessary in organizing information about biodiversity. Nomenclature functions to provide names for all taxa at all levels in the hierarchy of life. Naming of the organisms is done based on the guidelines of the International Code of the Zoological Nomenclature (ICZN). The scientific name ensures that each organism has only one name. ICZN, International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, first established in 1901 by the 5th International Congress of Zoology, has gone through 4 revisions, the last 2 developed by the Commission on Zoological Nomenclature of the International Union of Biological Sciences (IUBS). The 4th edition of the ICZN was published in 1999. Binomial nomenclature. It's a Latin word. Bi means two, nomen means name. Biologists follow universally accepted principles to provide scientific names to known organisms. Each name has 2 components, a generic name and a specific epithet. This system of naming the organisms is called binomial nomenclature, which was popularized by Carolus Linnaeus and practiced by biologists all over the world. Here are the examples you can see on the right side: the national bird, Indian peafowl, Pavo cristatus. In the middle you can see the national animal, tiger, as Panthera tigris. The Tamil Nadu state bird is the common emerald dove, which is Chalcophaps indica. The image is given below on the right side. Biological nomenclature derives from the binomial or binomial nomenclature that was originally codified in the works of Linnaeus. Species Plantarum 1753 and Systema Naturae 10th edition 1758. These publications are the starting points for the modern biological nomenclature in most groups of plants and animals. If you find an animal with 4 legs, with 2 eyes, paired ear pinna, covered with fur, possessing mammary gland, which class will you position it? How will you give a binomial name if you are the first person to discover and report that animal? Here, the animal is considered as class Mammalia, and the first name is genus with the first letter being capital. Second name is species. Names should be written in italics. Lastly, the name of the discoverer should be mentioned. Now let us move on to the trinomial nomenclature. Tri means 3. This naming system was proposed by Thomas Huxley, whose image is given on the right side above, and Hugh Edwin Strickland, whose image is given below on the right side. Trinomen means 3 names: generic name, species name, and subspecies name. When members of any species which have large variations, then trinomial system is used. On the basis of dissimilarities, this species gets classified into subspecies. It is the extension of binomial nomenclature system, which has an addition of subspecies. All the 3 names are set in italics. Only the first letter of generic name is capitalized. If handwritten, then it should be underlined separately. Example: Corvus splendens splendens, Indian house crows, whose image is given on the right side below. Tautonymy, the practice of naming the animals in which the generic name and species name are the same, is called tautonymy. Example: Najja Najja, the Indian cobra. What may be the reasons for the extinction of dinosaurs? Dinosaurs became extinct when a huge meteorite hit the planet Earth. Thousands of years back, as per one of the scientific predictions, sudden changes in the environment where they were living made them totally inadaptable to fit themselves to the changes. Why sparrows are listed as endangered species? The reasons for the decline of the sparrow population are loss of habitat due to rapid urbanization, diminishing ecological resources for sustenance, high levels of pollution, and emissions from microwave towers. Now let us move on to the concept of species. What is meant by species? Species is the basic unit of classification. The term species was coined by John Ray and in his book Historia Generalis Plantarum 3 volumes in 1693 described species as a group of morphologically similar organisms arising from a common ancestor. Carolus Linnaeus in his book Systema Naturae considered species as the basic unit of classification. Species can be defined as a group of organisms that have similar morphology and physiology and can interbreed to produce fertile offspring. In 1859, Charles Darwin, whose image is given on the right side above, in his book Origin of Species, explains the evolutionary connection of species by the process of natural selection. Now let us move on to the tools for study of taxonomy. Tools and taxonomical aids may be different for the study of plants and animals. Herbarium and botanical garden may be used as tools for the study of plant taxonomy. In the case of animal studies, the classical tools are museum, taxonomical keys, and zoological and marine parks. The classical taxonomical tools. The important components of the taxonomical tools are field visits, survey, identification, classification, preservation, and documentation. Some important tools, taxonomical keys. Keys are based on comparative analysis of the similarities and dissimilarities of organisms. There are separate keys for different taxonomic categories. Types of taxonomical keys: indented, bracketed, and punched card key. Museum. Biological museums have collection of preserved plants and animals for study and ready reference. Specimens of both extinct and living organisms can be studied. Zoological parks. These are places where wild animals are kept in protected environments under human care. It enables us to study their food habits and behavior. Arinar Anna Zoological Park, also known as the Vandalur Zoo, is in the southwestern part of Chennai, Tamil Nadu, spreads over an area of 1,500 acres. It is one of the largest zoological parks in India. The zoo houses 2,553 species of both flora and fauna. The animals that are kept in Arinar Anna Zoological Park is given below. Marine parks. Marine organisms are maintained in protected environments. Printed taxonomical tools consist of identification cards, description, field guides, and manuals. Now let us move on to the molecular taxonomical tools. Technological advancement has helped to evolve from classical tools to molecular tools. The accuracy and authenticity is more significant in the molecular tools. The following methods are being used for taxonomical classification, like DNA barcoding, DNA hybridization, DNA fingerprinting, restriction fragment length polymorphisms analysis RFLP, and polymerase chain reaction. Molecular techniques and approaches such as DNA barcoding. Short genetic marker in an organism's DNA is used to identify it as belonging to a particular species. Below you can see in the image the barcoding method where the species collection is done and the processing of the tissue is done, the DNA extraction is done, PCR amplification, DNA sequencing is done, and data analysis and valuation is done, and a barcoding is made. DNA hybridization measures the degree of genetic similarity between pools of DNA sequences. Here you can see species A, species B is taken, species A, species C is taken, where the DNA is collected from different species for comparison, heated to separate the strands, and then hybridized together. Sequences which are dissimilar and easy to separate are not closely related. For example, here species A and B. Species similar and difficult to separate. For example, here the species A and C are closely related. So this helps to determine the temperature at which the hybridized strands separate. DNA fingerprinting, to identify an individual from a sample of DNA by looking at unique patterns in the DNA. The individuals who has to be tested, the DNA is collected from the blood sample. DNA extraction is done from the white blood cells, and restriction enzyme is added, and the generation of DNA fragments is done. Agarose gel electrophoresis is done to form the homologous chromosome pairs, and denaturation of DNA is done, and the process of southern transfer is done, and the single stranded DNA replica is made of the gel. Hybridization and probes are added, and washing is done, and autoradiography is done to study the DNA pattern of each individual, and comparison is done. Restriction fragment length polymorphisms, RFLP analysis, difference in homologous DNA sequences that can be detected by the presence of fragments of different lengths after digestion of the DNA samples. Here the extraction of DNA is done from the community, and the PCR with a fluorescently isolated 16S rRNA is made to forward primer, and restriction digest of the PCR product is done, and the fragment separation is done in sequencing gel, and recognition of the labels of fingerprints. Polymerase chain reaction, that is called PCR, sequencing to amplify a specific gene or a portion of gene are used as taxonomical tools. The denaturing is done at 95 degrees centigrade to separate the DNA strands. Annealing is done at a temperature of 55 degrees centigrade where the primers adhere to the DNA strands. And extension is done at about 72 degrees centigrade where TAQ polymerase builds the complementary strands. Now, automated species identification tools. It consists of cyber tools, for example, ALIS, DAISY, ABIS, SPIDA, drawing, etc. Let us expand one by one. ALIS, Automated Leaf Hopper Identification System. DAISY, Digital Automated Identification System. ABIS, Automatic Bee Identification System. SPIDA, Species Identified Automatically, for example for spiders, wasps, bee-wing characters. Drawing, Honeybee wing identification. Neo-taxonomical tools. This is based on the electron microscopic images to study the molecular structures of cell organelles. Ethology of taxonomical tools. Based on the behavior of the organisms, it can be classified, for example, the sound of birds, bioluminescence, etc. E-taxonomic resources. InnoTaxa is an electronic resource for digital images and description about the species, which was developed by Natural History Museum, London. InnoTaxa means integrated open taxonomic access. So today in the Living World Part 2, we discuss about the taxonomic hierarchy, nomenclature, concept of species, and tools for study of taxonomy. So thank you. Kindly subscribe, like, share and comment the channel Read Med Prep Academy. Kindly register for UG and PG NEET type MCQs in our website www.readmedprepacademy.com. Our Facebook ID is Read Med Prep Academy. Our email is readmedprepacademy@gmail.com. Our Instagram is Read Med Prep Academy. Kindly post your questions in the comment box. We will reply with appropriate answers. To join Read Med Prep Academy, WhatsApp the number given below. Thank you very much.